Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rossi Brothers Sports Podcast. I'm Adam, unfortunately not joined by my brother John today. He will be back on the next episode. But I am, however, joined by someone else, Patrick Mahomes. We got Patrick Mahomes on the podcast. Really excited. Wait. No, that's not Pat. I'm sorry. It's Dave Armstrong. An upgrade. We have Dave Armstrong on the podcast today. Yeah. Well, welcome, Dave. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks, Adam, for having me. It's always fun to talk to you, but actually record might be dangerous what we're talking about, but we'll find out.
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
So Dave Armstrong, as everyone knows, is a man who needs no introduction.
Everybody.
But we'll give him a little introduction anyway, because that's the way we roll here on the Rossi Brothers Sports Podcast. So Dave grew up in Mission, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City, and is a lifelong sports fan. He helped found Jerusalem Farm, where I live and work, and continues to serve on the board of the farm. He also serves on the board for the Don Bosco Centers in Kansas City, a nonprofit that serves seniors, immigrants, and refugees. Dave built the campus ministry program at Avila University in Kansas City and serves there as the director of University Mission and Ministry, a position he has held for 19 years. Prior to his time at Avila, Dave worked in youth ministry for the Archdiocese of Kansas City, Kansas, and for the University of St. Mary in Leavenworth, Kansas. He holds degrees from Benedictine College and Loyola University in New Orleans, and he currently lives in Shawnee, Kansas with his wife, Kelly, and family. So suffice to say, he's a pretty good guy and a great sports fan, a great storyteller. So I'm really excited to be able to talk to him a little bit today about some sports stories from the Kansas City area. So thanks so much once again for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what kind of stories we come up with. If I can't come up with any good ones, I'll make them up, just like everybody does.
I'm excited. I've heard some pretty good stories from you, from both the made up and actual variety. So we'll see what happens. Now, first things first, I got to ask you, your hairdo there before we started recording, and you had your hat off. You had quite the hairdo. Can you explain what's going on with the hair there?
Chiefs run the Super Bowl. Jerusalem Farm is always looking for ways to raise money. So I told folks we raised $5,000 for the J. I would cut my hair and color it red. So more of a pinkish now.
Perfect for Valentine's Day.
I have to wear this, yeah, for Valentine's Day. That's what I told my wife. It didn't help her. But no, we raised good money for the J. I think we're about like $6,400 right now, and nice. we raised this to get this done in 5 days. So I actually I didn't expect to have to do it till this week. Yeah. I wasn't sure that I'd have to do it at all, but I was really glad. I was really happy that people really came forth, and Jerusalem Farm. Everybody's having a rough time right now because of COVID, and so. So, just an opportunity to raise some money, have a little bit of fun. It's a good time to have my hair cut weird, because whenever I go out right now, I have a big old stocking cap on. So
There you go. Wait, can you turn around? Can we see the back of the back of the cut there? There it is. There's the Mahomes cut. All right.
Oh.
So, for those of you who
say what?
I was going to say, for those people listening and not watching the YouTube video,
okay.
you're gonna have to, if you don't know what a Mahomes cut is, this probably is not the podcast for you. But we appreciate you listening anyway. Look it up on the internet. Google it, Akoja it.
I did not. I colored it red, and I didn't perm it. I just left it my old straight old man hair.
Nice. Well,
but I did cut
beautiful.
The sides are
beautiful look. Fits you well, Dave.
I might keep the cut. I kind of like it. I might, get rid of the mullet back here, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Lee tried to give me a Mahomes-ish cut.
Oh yeah.
At one point in the fall, and yeah, it looked too much like a mullet for me, so I had her trim the back. But, yeah. So Kansas City, when people think of Kansas City sports, naturally the first two teams that are going to come to mind for most people nowadays are probably the Chiefs and the Royals. And you've grown up a lifelong Chiefs and Royals fan. What's your experience been like being a supporter of these two professional teams?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs moved to Kansas City in '63, and the Royals started up here in '69. Before the Royals were here, we had the A's. So I go back to going to A's games.
Do you remember the A's games? Wow.
Yeah, back in the mid '60s, Charlie Finley. Um, some of our favorite days were going to when they still had bat days, and they gave out green bats at the Kansas City A's games. And
Really?
so we'd always have our green bats, and then we'd go walk down to the field, and we'd play baseball all day with those green bats, and we loved them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm sure that some people, if you look online, I'm sure you can find one. People are selling them here and there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised if they weren't worth 100 or so. But
wow. You still have yours?
Yeah, and then I guess people started hitting each other with those bats, so they stopped giving away bats at baseball games. So
that was at Municipal Stadium, right?
Old Municipal Stadium, located at 22nd in Brooklyn, in Kansas City. I miss it. I always remember going there. I went to Chiefs games there. I went to Royals games. I went to A's games. I went to Kansas City Spurs soccer games back in the day there, believe it or not.
I never knew they played there.
Yep. That was, Hunt from the beginning, Lamar Hunt. He was trying to get soccer into Kansas City, but I'll tell you what, back then, I think I'd rather watch paint dry. Although these days I have become a big soccer fan. I'm a big sporting fan. I love watching the World Cup. So for the last 20 years, having your own team and stuff, you really get into it. So sporting is a big deal to us in this household as well. Yeah. So and they've won a couple of championships since they've been here.
Right.
The early on, Kansas City A's, Charlie Finley was kind of a nut. We were pretty upset as kids when he pulled them out in 1967, but MLB promised a team within a couple of years. And I think if I'm not mistaken, we started with the Seattle Pilots, was another expansion team at that time. The Seattle Pilots, if I'm not mistaken, moved to Milwaukee and became the Milwaukee Brewers after a few years. But one of my favorite Seattle Pilot memories, it was Municipal Stadium. I believe it was July the 4th. It was a doubleheader back when they always played 3, 4, 5 doubleheaders a year. And I saw my first grand slam by a guy named Paul Shaw hit the grand slam against the Seattle Pilots and Old Municipal Stadium. One of those memories. One of my favorite memories of Municipal is when the A's came back to play the Royals. This would have been could have been 69, might have been 70. We were sitting out in the right field bleachers in Old Municipal Stadium, and Reggie Jackson was the right fielder. And I don't think he was a rookie then. He might have been in the league a year or two by then. But Reggie slid in a second, I remember, and he got thrown out. I don't know if he was trying to steal or what he was doing, but I just remember he ripped his pants, and he came out the right. He just had this big old hole in the butt of his pants. And he had polka dot, believe it or not, this tells you how far sports people have come. He had polka dot boxer shorts on. And of course the crowd was just relentless, just all over him. And it's just funny. I was probably like 10 years old, maybe 11 years old at the time. And that's been a lasting memory. But
that's great. It would be.
You guys today probably can't even imagine a professional athlete wearing boxer shorts on the field or on the court. So
that's great. That's great.
That's a fun story.
So Reggie never played for the Athletics in Kansas City, correct?
No, I don't think so. No, pretty sure he did. So he would have been a rookie, in 68, 69 probably.
Yeah, just missed him here.
Yeah, just missed him. And we just missed, the A's won the World Series 3 straight years, 72, 3, 4, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the day. Yeah. My story goes back to 5 years before I was born. In 55, the A's came to Kansas City, and their opening day game was the day my sister was born. And my dad, so this is where I got it. My dad, went to the game and wasn't there. Of course, you weren't allowed to go. we weren't allowed to go into the delivery rooms back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my sister was born the day the A's played their first game in Kansas City in 1955.
Wow. So we set this precedent of sports being pretty important, like sports,
Yeah.
children, sports.
Oh yeah. There's been when we were growing up, been many what I want to say, we'd slap a wall. That wasn't when we were upset.
Oh,
Many a referee or an umpire yelled at. Many tears, many high fives.
yeah.
And that's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, high fives only was something that came up in the '60s. I don't think that was a thing before that. So,
Yeah. Was it fist bumps before that? Were you like going full circle there?
I don't even know what it was, but we probably just shook hands.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Boring back in the day.
Yeah.
Glad they got creative in the '60s.
Yeah, the '60s kind of livened things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but sports has been, and then I passed along to my kids and getting to go to ball games with my kids, and then even my granddaughter, grandson. It's just it's surreal in a way when you get to share these things with your family
sure.
through the generations and stuff. Just as I can remember sitting with my grandfather in ball games, back in the '60s and '70s, and yeah, I know my brother. He in '73 we had the All-Star game here in Kansas
Okay.
City. That was the first year of what's now Kauffman Stadium. Back then it was Royal Stadium. He, my brother, took my dad and my grandfather to go see that All-Star game. So that's a
Wow.
special memory for him. But he worked hard, I remember, and bought those tickets. And shoot, those tickets probably cost $12 back in '73. Who knows? They probably thought that was outrageous. But that was a game, All-Star game that Johnny Bench hit a home run in. So that was
Oh, really?
quite a thrill.
Wow.
In '74, I mean, we just keep going on with memories here. I was at Nolan Ryan's first no-hitter.
Really? I didn't know that.
I keep a lot of ticket stubs, but I've never been able to find that one. So I know we had a flood in my basement way back when. I lost a lot of stuff then. Maybe that was one of them.
Oh, gee.
But I did find a lot of ticket stubs where they didn't even put the dates on the ticket stubs, so it could have been one of those too. But Nolan Ryan's first no-hitter.
I was a huge Nolan Ryan fan growing up. Maybe my favorite pitcher. Yeah. I never saw him play, but I had a book with just famous athletes, and I remember I was just enthralled that Nolan Ryan pitched 7 no-hitters.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I got to see his first one, and that's the only no-hitter I've ever seen. So
Yeah. Who was he playing with at that time?
that was the Angels.
Angels, okay. Wow, back in the day.
Yeah, I believe that's the team he played with. Well, to me, it seemed like most years. When you're younger, the years string out. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So I appreciate that you mentioned the Kansas City or Sporting KC, formerly the Kansas City Wizards, winning 2 titles. So it's interesting. The 3 professional sports teams currently in Kansas City, the Chiefs, the Royals, and Sporting KC, have all won 2 titles in their respective sports. And correct me if I'm not mistaken, but you have memories probably of each one of those title teams. So I'm interested in some comparisons here. Start with the Royals. You had the 1985 Royals win the World Series, the 2015 Royals 30 years later. Which was the better team?
Oh, the 2015 Royals were. Now, I would say George Brett undoubtedly was the best player ever.
For the Royals?
Yeah, absolutely. George Brett, incredible. When there was a big situation, you knew he was going to get a hit.
Yeah.
And you were just waiting. Something was going to happen. You just wanted to see what.
Mm-hmm.
But 80. I would say actually that the 1980 Royals might have been the best team they ever had, and the '77 Royals were great. In fact, that was at Game 5 in '77. I got a proof of it here somewhere. I think I brought it. Oh, I know I didn't bring it up from my man cave, but I was at '77 Game 5, and if you remember that game, it started out with George Brett sliding into Greg Nettles at third base and a big fight breaking out. And
I know that.
maintaining a lead until late in the game, and ended up losing that year too. I think that team won, if I'm not mistaken, won 102 games that year.
Really?
Dennis won over 20 games that year. They had a great pitching staff, really good team, good hitters, but they just couldn't get it done. And then in
Yeah.
'80, they got to the World Series easily, beating the Yankees in 3 games in the league championship. And they, if you remember, well, you won't remember this, you weren't even born yet, but that's the game where George Brett had a huge home run to put the Royals up, I think by 3 at that time, and then Dan Quisenberry closed it out, and the Royals won that game, and won their first, I believe, their first American League championship in 1980. That was a great team too, and I would say those 2 teams are probably the best teams. I mean, the best team doesn't always win. It's just
Right.
There's like last week in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. There were just some times where they could have used a little bit of luck and had some kind of questionable calls, but that's the way the game goes. And when you get those calls, things go your way, and when you don't get those calls, that's just how it is. So what I remember about the '85 Royals. Actually, the '85 World Series was kind of a big regret for me, and it's kind of a sad story. But I don't want to make too big a deal out of it. But it was exciting. The Royals coming back in the 9th and winning in Game 6, and then just the Cardinals kind of lost their cool, really lost it, and the Royals just trounced them, I think 11-0, to win the World Series the next night. And of course, there was a controversial call. I'm talking, so the little luck went the Royals' way there, and where, of course, that kind of call would be overturned in this day and age. But the Royals got that call. They got momentum.
What was the controversial call? I'm not familiar with that game.
So we were starting out the inning. There was a slow roller between first and the pitcher's mound. The first baseman picked it up, turned, flipped it to the pitcher, who stretched out. It was really like a bang bang play, and George Orta, and he was out by about 1.5 feet, but they called him safe. And St. Louis kind of erupted, and they lost their cool after that. They gave away 2 more outs after that. They had a pop up that they dropped, and then there was something. It might have been a strike. There was something else that happened that. The Cardinals could have closed it out. It's kind of like the Cubs lost their cool when
2003 NLCS.
Steve Bartman was
Steve Bartman
over. I've always blamed that on Moises Alou. I've been like, keep your cool, man. This ain't the time to lose your cool. Go back to your position.
Right.
Don't get upset. I just knew right then. I turned to my son and I said, "Here comes the choke. Here comes the choke." And it's not for me to say, keep your cool, because I'm definitely not a fan that keeps my cool sometimes. But so that's what I say there. Now, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, obviously Patrick Mahomes, we've never seen anybody like him. The guy's an incredible quarterback. The way they play football today, and Mahomes has really helped the game evolve to where it's become fun again. If you remember a few years ago, the NFL was really sinking. And or at least I felt like it was sinking. I didn't even want to watch sometimes. I thought the games were getting pretty boring. And then you had I want to talk about the political nature of what was going on. But those were
Mahomes helped to resurrect things.
Yeah, but so it was he just totally brought the game back. He's an incredible athlete.
He's crazy.
Yeah, it really is interesting. But of course, the other thing we're very fortunate about is he's such a good young man. He just seems like and that he wants to work for just causes for justice too. And I admire him because he's really sticking his neck out. Look what happened to Colin Kaepernick. So we'll see what happens. I didn't finish the Royal story. What I meant to say was I was telling you it was a little bit sad. It's a month after that game, my dad passed away very suddenly, and
sorry.
The joke at the time was You know, my dad's not very happy in heaven because in heaven the Cardinals won the World Series because of that controversial call. But yeah, so I didn't. The other regret I had that year is I didn't come home for the parade. I was in college. I was out of college, but I was living in Lawrence at the time. I working at a place up in Lawrence, and so when we went 30 years later, I made sure I got my kids. We all got down to the parade, and it's a great memory for the family. So
That's good.
but yeah, the you know with Salvi and Haas and the incredible relief pitching we had with the Herrera and Davis and Holland. You just if you were ahead, you weren't in the seventh inning. The game was over. So
this is in 2015.
Yeah, 2015 exactly. So so good times, Royals. I got all kinds of stories with Royals. One of my favorite all-time Royal stories is well, it wasn't that long ago. But I had a friend call me up. He says, "Dave, you want to go to the game tonight?" And I was kind of tired, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." He says, "Well, okay, I guess I'll do something else with these crown seats." And I went, "Oh, crown seats? Where do you want me to meet you?" Now, crown seats are the seats right behind the home that are about 250, 240 a piece. I thought I brought that one up to it. Oh yeah, I did. So anyway, there's that stub.
Well,
see the price there, 240.
Well,
anyway, I don't know. I don't remember how I got those tickets, but we.
This is 2015.
This was 2012, actually.
Okay.
The Royals are playing the Tigers. So Miguel Cabrera, 2012. If you remember, that's the year he won the Triple Crown.
Triple Crown, wow.
Right. And so he, it was his birthday. Billy Butler, who was on the Royals, it was his birthday. When you're in the crown seats, you get free drinks, and it kind of gives you a little courage. And so I'm telling Miggy, he's literally like 10 feet from me, and thank goodness there's a net between us. But I'm like, Miggy, let's get Billy, my buddy's here, and let's all go out for a drink for your birthday. And he looks at me and he goes, and I went, what? And he goes, like that. And I'm like, what's he saying? The guy behind me says, and I guess I can say this here. He says he's going to kick your ass. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? And the guy behind me says, don't you remember he had a little problem with alcohol there a few years back? I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot.
Is this Miguel Cabrera?
Huh?
Is this Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Anyway, so the year that Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown, he threatened to kick my ass. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a good memory.
Stupid fans.
Well,
yeah. Anyway,
you got a lot.
All kinds of things. I remember where we were sitting. Jose Canseco was playing for the A's. I was sitting right behind the A's dugout, about 4 rows up.
Bash Brothers.
Every time Jose Canseco came out of the dugout, this guy next to me would just wouldn't let up. I mean, he was all over him, all over Jose Canseco. Canseco went up to the plate, struck out. He goes into the dugout, comes out the next time for his at-bat. The guy just starts. He's all over him while he's on the on-deck circle. And he's just screaming and yelling at him and just all kinds of things. And then Jose goes up to the plate. He strikes out. Okay, third time, same thing. Boom, 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 boom. Guy's all over him. Goes to the plate, strikes out. Now fourth at bat. Guy's all over him. And I'm just thinking, I'm kind of embarrassed about it. He's like right next to me. I'm just gonna have my head down. And Canseco stands up, turns his back, grabs the barrel of the bat, sticks it at the guy, and says, "You do it." and we were like, "Oh man!" and all of the security came down.
Yeah.
Mess. It was a mess. I don't know what it looked like on TV. But
those in the crown seats?
No, they were what used to be called box seats. But we were, like I say, 3 or 4 rows behind, right by the people. Yeah. 3 or 4 rows up. This was before the renovations in 2009. So yeah, this would have been back in probably the 90s,
Okay.
maybe the 80s, late 80s. But
I thought you were
anyway,
gonna say like hit a home run and flip the bat in the guy's face or something.
nope. He actually went up that fourth time and struck out again. So,
Really?
so
Wow.
what do they call that? The golden sombrero. Now,
Tough day at the
tough
coffin.
day for Jose. I have to admit, I didn't like him. It was a lot of fun. So it's
Yeah.
good to strike out four times.
You probably didn't know back then that he all the steroid stuff.
Oh nope, absolutely not.
Mm.
So yeah, that was early. I'm pretty sure it was early in his career. So that's probably in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
He's a
you'll
good player, good hitter. I mean, he's a big guy. I wouldn't want to mess with him. I made
yeah.
sure that the guy next to me.
You didn't know the guy next to you, did you?
Nope, didn't know him. Didn't know him. I believe I was with my brother at that game. So I had
Okay.
5.
Well, so you mentioned you were in Kansas and you attended Kansas for a while.
Oh yeah, University of Kansas. I was there for
Yeah.
4.5 years actually.
Okay. And you said you were a broadcast journalism major?
I was a broadcast journalism major. My dream was to be like Howard Cosell, though the more I learned about Howard Cosell, that's not who I wanted to be.
Okay. I don't know too much about Howard Cosell.
People, I would used to sit down in front of the televisions and I would just like call the game. People would say, you should be an announcer. In the end, it wasn't for me, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I was close. I was close to it. Kevin Harlan, he and I were freshmen the same year. He lived on my dormitory floor. I
Yeah.
think we played a year of intramural football together. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I haven't kept in touch with him at all, but yeah, a very good man. He's very genuine, just like he appears. And
Yeah. So what was it like going to games at the Fog?
oh my gosh, I tell you what, we planned everything around a basketball game at Allen Fieldhouse. I don't think I missed one basketball game in 4 years that I was
Wow.
there that was on.
That's
If
impressive.
I did, I'd be definitely ill. But back then, they had a lot more seats for students. Probably 3/4 of the field house was students back then.
Really?
Now it's like maybe a third, if that.
Huh. Still a lot. It's more than
We
the
would
Coliseum.
always get there as soon as they'd open the gates. We would always get a middle section about halfway up in the upper deck and right at midcourt line. That was kind of our spot. And
How early would you have to get there?
I think the gates opened either an hour and a half or 2 hours before game time.
Oh, okay. Did you camp out?
I never did a camp out thing because the seats that we liked the most, we didn't need to camp out for. If we got there, but the people that camped out were getting the seats, and really the camping out thing started the years I was at KU, and so.
Just for context, this is like late 70s, early 80s.
Exactly. It was 78 to 82.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'd be there. I'm trying to think of something. Darnell Valentine had a big shot to beat Indiana. I remember that back then. The Kentucky games that we'd play in Allen Fieldhouse back then, they'd play every other year.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I was ever there. No, I think we did beat Kentucky once when I was there. You know, the shockers of losing to K-State or Missouri. A guy named Steve Stepanovich was the big center for Missouri back then, and he accidentally shot himself in the foot. And so back then, this tells you how different the world is all of the cap guns, because they used to sell cap guns in the stores where you go and they go make a bang, 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 bang. All of the cap guns and all the stores sold out. Whenever he went to the free throw line, it was.
Sure, you were all over that.
Yeah, we were all over that. Yeah, I was there when Ted Owens was coach. I lived in Lawrence when Larry Brown coached us, the '88 championship. That was a lot of fun. My daughter was in school there when they won the championship in '08.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
I remember that.
Yeah, the time she was 1 year old when they won in '08 or in '88, and at school there in '08 with that big win. So
yeah.
And that's KU. I mean, here this is I mean, the case where the best team doesn't always win is their 97 team was probably the best team ever. And, but you get a cold night or you get one call go one way or another and boom, or somebody gets hot on another team. And the 08, I'm sorry, the 88 team is probably one of the, or not the best team, probably one of the lesser teams of 30 years, yet they won the national championship. And they went the night of that championship game in 88 was unbelievable the way they were playing ball. We're like, what is this team? Where do they come from?
I mean, they were almost on the bubble going into the tournament, right?
I think they had a 6 seed that year. So, yeah, they were not good that year. 97, all those teams in there were awesome, incredibly good teams. But it's hard to win a basketball championship.
Yeah, tough to win the tournament.
Stephen Curry had a shot to beat us in the Elite Eight at the buzzer, and he missed it. And we guarded it pretty well. It was a tough shot, but so we get into the Final Four and go all the way that year with an incredible comeback against Memphis. And
that's right.
Yeah. With
forgot about that game.
Mario Chalmers hitting a big shot at the buzzer to tie the game.
Mario Chalmers.
2 seconds left, I guess. But it's huge. But we've had great teams since then, and they just haven't. And then we had a great team last year, and COVID happens. So it's just it's been one of those things. It's been heartbreak for KU fans, but we won those championships, and those were a lot of fun. Good memories. You always think about where you were when it happened. Last year we blew it this year because we'd watched the Super Bowl last year at my daughter's house, and we watched the night the Royals won the World Series at my daughter's house. But we watched this game last week at my house, so we won't make that mistake again. We'll be back over. The nice thing about the Chiefs is that it was easy to recover from that game because they're going to be back. I mean, barring major injury or some sort of crazy mishap, the Chiefs will be back, and they'll be back for a long time.
I like your confidence.
Yeah. I hope I'm not sounding like a cocky comment. It's just that when you've got somebody,
a good squad.
When you got somebody as good as Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, and we could probably use a back or two, and definitely need probably we need to tighten up the offensive line for next year. And
had some injuries too that affected him really in that Super Bowl. I think
hurt us in the end when he went down. My brother texted me right away when Fisher went down and said he just snapped his Achilles, and sure enough, that's what happened.
Tampa Bay had quite the D line too.
They did. So it wasn't good timing.
No.
Timing on that. There were just some little things flying around with the Chiefs, and that's just the way it is sometimes. It's the way it is.
Hard to repeat. Yeah.
I go back I remember being in my living room, and as we were growing up in Mission, I was 9 years old, and we had this little 19-inch black and white television that we were watching the game on.
Wow.
Back in the day, and that
was Super Bowl IV.
Super Bowl IV, right? 1970, January of 1970. My dad was always a lector at the 5 o'clock mass on Sundays, and I remember my mom was leaving, and she says, "You coming, Jack?" And he says, "Tell Father I'm not feeling well." We just all kind of laugh and look at that because Dad would never miss mass. And I remember my mom coming home. He says, "Well, I guess the Chiefs won." "Yeah, they did." "Yep, we heard all the fireworks going off in the middle of it." So
I read recently
for Super Bowl.
Yeah. I read recently, I was just reading a little bit about that game. It was the first game that the head coach was mic'd. The head coach of the Chiefs.
Yep,
the NFL Films had a mic for that game.
Yep.
I didn't realize that.
He kept there are a couple of famous lines that people still say. Let's
Oh, yeah.
keep matriculating the ball down the field, boys. Just keep matriculating down the field. And then
Really?
the other one was, oh shoot, I'm going to forget the number. I think it was 45 toss power trap. Toss power trap. Woohoo! Touchdown.
Huh. They won.
And
They won that game pretty big.
they did, and they were quite the
Heavy
underdog.
underdogs.
I don't know how many points. I'll bet there was at least a touchdown underdog for that game, and they came in and won 23-10, I believe it was. Big plays by Otis Taylor. I think Johnny Robinson, our safety, then had an interception,
Okay.
and the big play, the 45 toss power trap, where Mike Garrett, who was a USC grad,
Okay.
took it in to the end zone, and
Huh.
a couple of field goals by Jan Stenerud, and that's all she wrote. Those were great teams back then, really, really good teams. It's hard because we say which was who would have beat who. Well, it's like comparing,
Different eras.
yeah, different because football was played a certain way and it's played a certain way now.
Mhm.
So it's hard to say this team or that team,
Right.
but Bobby Bell and Buck Buchanan and Ernie Ladd and Willie Lanier, great defensive players. Emmett Thomas. We had an awesome defense, and that was the last time. After that, the two leagues merged into the
Right.
NFL, right? And so back then, the AFL just didn't have a lot of respect, and so when Joe Namath and the Jets won Super Bowl III, that was a big deal for the AFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, and probably one of the impetus to make the merge happen the next year or after the next year. So
Yeah, and the Chiefs even the AFL NFL Super Bowl count.
Yeah, it did exactly 2-2. And the Chiefs to that point had been in 2 Super Bowls. So we've been in 4 Super Bowls now. We're 2-2. Yeah,
More to come. You're predicting.
Huh?
And more to come. You're predicting.
Yeah, I did, unless Mahomes gets hurt.
So how many do you think they win with Mahomes?
Him not. I think he has every chance of getting as many as Brady does. So
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you think he can win 7 Super Bowls?
As long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
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 The guy's amazing. You do have to. I mean, you learn if you put pressure on him. But look at some of the plays he was making. I mean, our receivers had a horrible day. They dropped 3 passes that could have changed the game completely. And but that last pass that everybody talks about when he's flying through the air sideways and whips it 30 yards into his man's helmet.
That was incredible.
Yeah, it's those are the incredible plays. He knew he couldn't even win the game at that point. Yeah, he makes that play. It just shows how competitive he is.
I agree with you. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but the way you put an NFL team together, like it's tough to win 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
with one team. Like it's almost unbelievable how successful the Patriots were for as long as they were.
Well, they went. That's just it. I mean, that's why it's amazing. They went to 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah. So you think over the next decade plus, the Chiefs are going to be the new Patriots?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I think
the NFL.
People are really going to dislike the Chiefs in about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I hope.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think they can hold the team together though? Like with
no,
with Kelsey and their
well, Kelsey they'll keep.
Team Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Kelsey they'll keep. I don't think that'll be a problem. Hill will keep. Some of the other guys here and there. Hardman, I'm not sure how long they got him wrapped up. Of course, you got Cap and stuff, but the defense are the ones. How do we keep those guys? Jones is an incredible lineman, and Frank Clark doesn't seem to. He seems to save it for the playoffs, but he comes on in the playoffs. And Tyrann Mathieu, Breland was head and shoulders better this year than he was last year, in my opinion.
Tyrann Mathieu doesn't have 10 more years left in him. I'm not sure he has 5.
and that's the thing is that keeping a defense, keeping a decent defense. And when you have somebody like Mahomes on the offense, you just need a decent defense. So we didn't have a decent defense a couple of years ago when we lost that game late to Brady.
Right.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That one was rough.
Yeah. That's true, though. Like, if you look at the Patriots it was really 2 decades that their reign kind of spanned. And really the only constant was the first Super Bowl, 2001 to 2018, 19, when they won the last one, was Brady. Like, everyone else had changed
on
the roster. So, yeah, you can I guess if you got a good GM, good organization, you can build a team around one player.
Well, and I don't mean to take anything away from Belichick, but I think Brady proved that it really is more about the players than it is about the coaches. And
Jackson Joe's beat X's and O's, right?
Right. You just it's yeah. So I mean, coaches shouldn't be too quick. I mean, Andy Reid, he got Patrick Mahomes. If he doesn't get Patrick Mahomes, he's not winning with Alex Smith. He's getting to the playoffs, but he's not winning. Let's go back. I mean, think about all the lucky managers. Look at Dick Hauser. Actually, the 85 Royals in my opinion, the stretch from 76 to 85. The 85 Royals were not, I think, probably one of the lesser teams in those 10 years. Yet they won the World Series. Just some amazing things happened. And
it's got to match your way sometimes.
When they got to the playoffs, all of a sudden, they hadn't been hitting all year long, but they have this incredible pitching staff. And, they can't put any hits together. Finally get a couple of timely hits, and in game 7 just tore it up. But look at Ned Yost. Ned Yost was an inning away from being fired and the Royals out of the playoffs. But they all of a sudden went crazy and scored 5 runs in the 8th. Was it the 8th inning? I think 4 runs in the 8th and 1 in the 9th to tie the A's in the wild card game. I was there.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there for that game.
I was watching that in my college apartment. I was rough.
But if he puts in Yordano Ventura in a weird situation, and he gives up a home run to what we thought was the end of the Royals, and I'm thinking, Ned is done. But no, boom, they come back, they win that game, they win.
They didn't lose again till the World Series, right?
Huh? Yeah,
they didn't lose again till the World Series.
Till game 1 of the World Series, and and just tore it up. And then, but the Royals the next year were just relentless. It looked like they were done in Houston, and boom, 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 boom. Keep the line moving, and that was a lot of fun. That
was a fun team.
Yeah. But, Kansas City sports, we've been really, really fortunate. We had a bad stretch, from the mid-'80s until, the teens and the 2000s here. And it's kind of a rough stretch for the most part. KU fans had a little bit to celebrate in there. But other than that.
Sporting KC?
Huh?
Sporting KC, they won an MLS Cup.
When was that? Their first was what?
2000?
Oh, was it that far back? Gosh.
I thought it was.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. It all runs together for me anymore, Adam.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. So Mahomes wins 6 more Super Bowls.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, he has 1. So if he wins as many as Brady, he's at 6 more.
It's like I will. Let me put it this way. I bet he gets to 10 Super Bowls.
He plays in 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's already played 2.
Yeah.
He's already played 2, and he's only played for 3 years. So
it's true. All right. We'll see. 8 more Super Bowl appearances coming for Patrick Mahomes. You heard it here first. All right. Great Dave Armstrong.
I don't think you heard it here first. I think there's a lot of people that think that. So.
Okay. You heard it here 5th.
Yeah. Again, barring injury. If he plays till he's 43 years old, then yeah, for sure.
Do you think he's going to play till he's 43 years old? Not many people can do that.
I don't think so. I don't think he'll want to. Well,
Yeah.
Football is hard on the body. I think some of these guys play for too long. So I won't name any names, but I knew one of the former Chiefs, and I asked him. I said, what makes you? How did you get through it all without having any kind of damage, permanent damage? And he looks at me and he said, "What makes you think I did?"
Mm.
In other words, he did.
Yeah.
He good guy, but he did go. He's been through some rough times since then. I worry about him, but football's a rough sport. I don't know that it's, I wouldn't probably in this day and age. I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't let my kid play it. But,
yeah, it's something to consider for sure. Speaking of being a kid, when I'm interested about your own sports career, Dave. Did you play ball back in the day?
I did.
So what?
Baseball is what I like the most,
Yeah.
probably what I was best at. But unfortunately, I never grew. I mean, I weighed 90 pounds when I was a freshman in high school.
Really?
And so it's hard to compete with people. I was pretty feisty and tried, but yeah, as far as strength and stuff, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And so I would just play, on the side, intramurals and things like that. And then in college, slow pitch softball. Then I played, just did that, just the stuff that we do.
So you reached your peak in Little League.
Huh?
So you reached your zenith in Little League.
Yeah, exactly.
Little League star. What position?
I pitched a little. I played shortstop. I played second base.
Pitcher, shortstop, second base. Man, you're a utility man.
Yeah, well,
a lot of positions.
Wherever they need, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Well,
I had a pretty good arm.
Yeah.
People were surprised. But what's funny about it is people say, "How hard do you throw?" And I said, "Well, I've clocked it, and as hard as I can throw is 72 miles an hour." And I'm like, "That's it? Yeah. See, guys, it's hard to throw."
72. That's more than I could ever.
And as hard as I can throw is 72 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So,
I used to go to the Pittsburgh Carnegie Science Center. They had this like sports exhibit thing to the side, and they had a radar gun there. And I was in elementary school, and I remember reading in Sports Illustrated for Kids this little leaguer that threw 69. And I thought, all right, that's my goal. I could throw 69, and I never came anywhere close. And I remember asking my dad, like, "Hey, Dad, do you think I can throw 69 miles an hour by the time I finish my little league career?" He's like, "I don't know, maybe." I was like, "Come on, you don't think I can do it?" But then at that Carnegie Science Center, I was thinking, man, maybe he's right. That's hard to get to. So you got me beat.
Baseball is really tough. I mean, I coached my son's teams and stuff, and a lot of parents think their kids, going to be a great baseball player, and parents just let it go, let the kids have fun, let them play, because think of how many major leaguers have come out of Kansas City in the last 10 years. Can you name any?
I don't know.
Well, Albert Pujols grew up in Kansas City.
I didn't know that.
Out in Lee Summit.
Huh.
And there's David Cohn played at Rockhurst, but those
Really?
20, 30 years ago. So
wow.
I'm sure it's more recent than that. And if you can throw, but if you're a pitcher and you can throw 90 miles an hour, a major league team is going to sign you. We've had a couple of pitchers off of our team at Avila who've been signed, to minor league contracts.
Really?
Yeah. So throwing hard's the big thing. Then they get you in there and hope that maybe something they do with you mechanically will turn you into a really good pitcher. So
yeah. Do you go to many Eagles games, matches at Avila?
I try to get out there to baseball games and stuff and basketball. I last few years has been tougher. This year I haven't gone at all because I've really been trying to avoid. I do not want to get the COVIDs.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Still waiting for that vaccine. I hope I'll get it soon.
Yeah.
I think I'm next. I think Mike's next. So.
I'm gonna be for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You had it, so might
Yeah,
be coming. Yeah, your antibodies be probably disappearing about now, right? So hopefully,
probably.
yeah,
Mhm.
get that. We'll get more people, get those folks
Vac-
back to the farm.
Vaccine time. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Mm. Um, so I had just a few, I thought maybe kind of fun grab bag style questions I'd ask you
go for it.
before we sign off here, Dave.
I love it.
So since you have the unique hairdo going on right now, I was going to start off with the hairdo question. Now these aren't necessarily Kansas City
Nope.
sports. It's a good look. It's a good look. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Go.
So when I think of hairdos in sports, I'm first going to the NBA. Honestly, it's harder to see, under a helmet or a baseball cap. But in the NBA, you got some hairstyles to look at. So who do you think had the better hair, Dennis Rodman or Chris Birdman Anderson?
I got to go with Rodman. We were thinking about him just the other day. In fact, somebody compared my hair to that.
Yeah, all right.
So,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Rodman has takes the cake as far as that's concerned. Okay, if you could only take one Kansas City sports figure out to eat barbecue, who are you taking, and where are you taking them?
whoa, wow, great question. Out to eat barbecue. Ooh, so many run through my mind. Um, oh golly,
So many barbecue joints or so many players, or both?
so many players, so many players. Only one barbecue joint. My barbecue joint is Joe's Kansas City Barbecue.
Okay,
Best fries, best ribs, best chicken, best Z man, only Z man.
yeah.
Uh, the
Here's KC.
oh shoot, who would it be? That's a great question. Sports figure in Kansas City. Um, I'm sure. I think the one that pops into my mind over and over is Buck O'Neill.
Okay,
That's who I'd
I'm
like
so
to.
glad you said that.
So I got a Buck O'Neill right here.
There it is. You have his autograph?
Yeah.
Wow.
We got that. We got it at got a couple of those. He came. He was doing a thing through like a promotion for grocery stores and stuff. And
Okay.
I at the Hy-Vee in Mission. I'm going to say 2001 maybe. He was there, and my son and I went and got those signed. So
Wow. So
great.
my dad gave me for Christmas a book about Buck O'Neill. It's written by Joe Posnanski,
Yeah.
City Star. You familiar with it?
Mhm. Totally. I might have it. I might
Okay.
have it. I
It's
don't
a
remember.
great read.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Joe was a great writer. So
he is a very good writer.
he was an awesome character.
Yeah,
He
Buck O'Neill just seems like a stand-up dude.
yeah, the world got to know him a little bit when um, the historian who did the history of baseball.
Oh, Ken Burns?
Yeah, Ken Burns. I couldn't think of it. When he did that, and that's where the rest of the world got to know Buck O'Neill. He's a great
Yeah.
guy. Great stories. Great
Wow.
story.
Sitting with Buck O'Neill at Kansas City Joe's, eating
Yeah,
barbecue, having a
yeah,
conversation about life. That would be pretty amazing. Uh,
yeah. There's lots of guys. You know, Hank Stram. He was a great man. Um, uh, and it'd be fun to it'd be more like I'm the dad and he's the son to take Patrick Mahomes, to barbecue.
yeah, that'd be neat. That'd be neat.
I
I was thinking,
understand he's a Joe's KC fan too. I think.
oh really?
Yeah,
I was thinking Bo Jackson. It would be fun to talk to Bo Jackson
that's
too.
a good one, man. That would be a fun one too. I saw. Here's my Bo Jackson story. Okay, so
Yeah.
where they're playing the A's in Kansas City. I'm in the upper deck. Um, Bo Jackson's on second. Somebody skies one. I forget who to left center field. Player goes back, catches the ball at the wall. Bo Jackson is standing on third base. He runs back to second, tags it, runs back to third.
Wow,
It was unbelievable. It was
that's
crazy.
crazy.
That was like 88, 89.
Wow.
That was probably one of the, and that's when you say, barring injury, when it comes to somebody like Mahomes, Bo Jackson
You never know.
was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. believe he played the game. George Brett was here. So, I mean, George Brett was the greatest because of his longevity, and he was a great player and a great hitter, and even became a great fielder as well. He had to work hard, by the way, to do that. But Bo Jackson in the little time made probably the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, what could have been? Could have been.
I'll just never forget when they said he was hurt, and we were like, "No, it's not true. It's not true." Especially since it was the National Enquirer, I think, that broke the story. So it's just like, it's not true. And then it was. So
and then the New York Times picks up on the story and you say, "Oh, what?"
Yeah, he was so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch.
I'm sure he was. I enjoy watching that 30 for 30.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
it's been great.
So two final questions for you.
Okay.
One, if you could spend one day as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, or Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball team, what organization are you going to choose to be a part of and why for a day?
Oh gosh, it'd be the Royals. Just jumps out at me. There's so many things that I'd want to do. You always have this dream that you can get in the batting cage and make it happen.
You're living your little league dreams.
Yeah, just have that one at bat. Like the doctor in the Field of Dreams. I can't remember. Shoot, but just to have that one time, that one try, that definitely the Royals.
Yeah. Now, if you
be there, to be around.
If you stood in the batter's box and had a major league pitcher throwing you strikes in the strike zone, how, out of like 100 pitches, how often do you think you'd make contact?
Now or
now?
20 years ago. Now probably 10 times.
Yeah.
10 times I would foul it off at least. I knew if it was going to be straight fastballs, I could hit at least 10 of them, I think.
Okay.
I can make contact. I bet.
I wonder about that sometimes.
I mean, I went to some batting cages where they were throwing 100 a few years ago, and I was making contact with. This was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I was making contact with most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them pretty good contacts. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe it turn into one of those rookie stories.
Yeah.
End up working your way up, playing for the team.
Yeah.
Never know.
I forget who the guy was for Tampa Bay that was coaching, but he threw 98 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Tampa
I forget his name too. I saw that movie in theaters back in the day.
What was that movie?
The Rookie. I think it's just called The Rookie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
That was good. Lots of good baseball movies.
Yeah.
What do you think my favorite baseball movie is?
Sandlot.
Yep.
It's
good. I like.
Angels in the Outfield.
Oh no.
Rookie of the Year.
Nope.
It's definitely not Pride of the Yankees. That's probably my dad's favorite.
What movie does every man cry at?
Every man. Have I ever cried during a movie? I probably haven't seen this then.
You've seen Field of Dreams.
I haven't seen Field of Dreams.
Oh my gosh, you got to see Field of Dreams. All right. I can't believe you haven't seen it. All right, write that down. Write it down now.
I got you. All right. Field of Dreams
was great because it was about a relationship of a son and his dad and how the relationship was really around baseball. And in the end, all he wanted to do was have one more catch with his dad. And that was my life. That movie came out about 3 years after my dad died.
Oh, wow.
So, but no matter what you get, you got to, because it's a great
Field of
story.
Dreams.
Great story.
All right.
Have one more time. Yeah, that would be my dream.
There it is.
That'll be heaven.
Beautiful. I will put it on my must watch list.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, Dave.
All right, buddy.
We end each interview on the Rise Above Sports podcast, with this question. Why is sports important?
You know, there's a lot of reasons why sports are important. Good athletes. One of the things good athletes have is they have good mental discipline. I have terrible mental discipline. Um, 95% of golf is that it's in your head, and every now and that's what's fun about golf is that every now and then your head's in the right place and you can shoot a good score.
Yeah.
The it's good for mental discipline, and I think it's good for young men in that respect. Uh, you know, it's funny that baseball players get into fights when there's hardly any contact between baseball players, but it seems like in some ways they fight the most. Now, football players, they're out there beating each other beating on each other at every play, and
Mhm.
you'll see fights now and then, but you know, not as many as you'd think you'd see. And in basketball, talk about the mental composure it takes to be pounded on and fouled and pushed and bad calls and all of these things going on to push through all of that mental pressure to be successful. I think that's the best experience for young people as they grow. I think coaches, if they're good coaches, they help young people to not so much control their emotions as understand them and be able to use them for the better and to discipline yourself not to get upset, to leave that last play behind, go on to the next play. Whatever happened back then, you leave it there and move on to the next thing. I'm not good at that, um, but to the extent that I am or have that ability, I think I learned a lot of it in sports.
Mm. Well said. Well said. I'd echo the same. I don't think I'm great at it, but if I did learn anything, the first place I probably learned it was on an athletic field.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time. This has been a treat to hear some.
I enjoy talking sports, so it's good, Adam.
Hey, same here. Same here. It's made for a
Hopefully, we can
good.
get over this COVID thing and get you over here at the house sometime.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. Yeah. Once you get vaccinated.
Yep. Let's get her done.
Sooner rather than later. Cool stuff. Well, thanks again. Thanks again for your time. Take care. And, yeah. We'll do a little sign off here. Remember, check us out on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on Spotify. Rossi Brothers Sports Podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a like. We appreciate it. Give us tell us what you think. Also, YouTube channel. Brother John is working hard at making some awesome YouTube videos for y'all. This will also be up on YouTube, so check us out there as well. I think that's all we have for you today. Great. We'll see you next time. Hopefully have more videos and exciting podcasts coming your way. Until next time, for John, I'm Adam from the not good at this from the mountains of Vermont to the banks of Missouri. To all our listeners from points in between and not in between. For John, I am Adam. Stay classy, Frostburg.